Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Talking Points with KPI, episode number 38. This week is another blog-style podcast, so if you would like to go read and get more in-depth on the podcast, go to kpimh.com, click the blog tab. It'll be the first one at the top. But today, we are going to be talking about a little bit more of inside KPI. We're going to be talking about the business side and why it went on, what goes on, what the structure is like. So Eric, I'll just let you start and kind of just give the background of what this blog was about, and then we'll dive into it.
Sure. We're trying to give everyone just different insights into this animal that KPI has become. So obviously we do a ton of information on the skill side and the strength side, and it's telling the story of the athletes in here, and then we also want to sprinkle a little bit of how our business is set up, so people have some confidence in that this is going to be a lasting business that's going to be around for a long time. The theme of this blog was to highlight our approach to staffing, and so much like everything we've done here, it's been very organic. Quick hit on the history of things, but when we were at our old location, we basically had one full-time employee, going into this location, and we kind of got it going that winter of 2021. And then did well, and that summer we sold out our summer program, and it was actually really surprising to us because it was a big program to offer, and at that point in time Dan and I decided that we have to, one, set this up like a real business, two, stabilize our core employees. We didn't want them to think that they were seasonal or intermittent or hourly or whatever the thought was. We wanted them to know we're going to invest in you because you've done a great job of helping us grow so quick. Dan's going to comment on a lot of the stuff better than I will, just because he's been in this industry for a long time, as far as the fitness gym industry, which is theoretically what we are on paper. And it's not the norm. It's not the norm in our industry to offer salaries, to offer 401ks, to offer medical benefits. So we've created a structure where any employee can enter our business and see where they need to get to get to certain levels, and to get to certain statuses, and we really feel that is the right way to set this up, and it's going to be one of the reasons we grow as a business and maintain as a business.
Absolutely. So Dan, I'm going to take it back even farther. We'll touch on everything Eric said throughout the conversation, I have no doubt. But coming into it, like he said, you had one full-time employee. I want you to go back even farther than that. So you being by yourself, a lot of people have watched the podcast before, know the story of ID3 and all that. But I want you to go back into it, coming into what was so-called KPI. How are you feeling about that, and what were your so-called plans for it?
I think that it was a balance between what I wanted to do and what I needed to do. I think that the vision, we had this in one of our meetings where it's like, Eric, so how this is not something I ever envisioned building. And this is exactly what I envisioned building. Yeah. And when he and I went into talks about building KPI and rebranding and moving into this new space, I flat out said, okay, this is something I want to do. And I look at every of the big movers in our industry. Usually takes them about 8 to 10 years to get to an established business, and they have systems, they have employees, they have all the things I want to have. And I was at year 2 or 3 of my own business, and I was like, okay, either I stick it out, right, kind of take the egotistical route. Okay, I can do this on my own. I don't need anybody to help me, or merge and make a better decision for myself, but then also for the single employee that we were taking care of at the time. And there were other coaches that were working towards that employee status, but I think that was kind of the main focus. I think the other part of needing to do is we were trying to navigate the landscape of COVID, and there was a lot of obstacles and a lot of things to overcome, which ultimately I think in the blog Eric highlighted, this is probably our ultimate blessing in disguise, just because it forced us to become efficient. It forced us to become very clear with exactly what we offer and what we do, and then it was really a very there were no distractions for all of us, clients and employees and coaches, where we had this stretch of time that all that mattered was getting the right pieces in place, getting, with the analogy we'll use, get the right people on the bus, and we know where the bus is going, and as we've gotten the right people on and we've had people hop off the bus, I think where we're at today is definitely, we're in a very, very strong position to continue to move forward.
Yeah.
And on that note, one more thing on that long COVID winter, we call it, where basically there was no high school sports going on, but kids were back in school. They needed something to do, so we had, normally our winters are super quick. The fall sports end, so football, stuff like that, and we launch a winter program. it's December, January, and stuff starts to break up a little bit in January because high schools get up and running. And then February 1, we lose them to high school baseball. We had theoretically 4 months to play with there and over the winter, and we were able to implement the systems that we're running now. We tested in that stretch. Our directors now, Chase and Justin, they really established themselves in that stretch as like, hey, like we are real guys here, and we're going to kind of drive this thing. And I don't know if we would have had that if it would have been a short kind of in and out winter like it normally is. So like Dan said, it we don't want to say COVID is a blessing, obviously not, but more so like for our business, it really opened some doors that maybe we would have never been able to open, unless that opportunity presented itself in a weird way.
Absolutely.
No, I think the hiring of Chase, like he wouldn't have been on our doorstep if COVID didn't happen.
Yeah.
He lost his job. I think Justin, as a director, we've seen somewhat a landscape of this young, fresh out of college group of kids that life very quickly said, okay, hey, I think a lot of them chose, I want to do what I want to do. Like the world could end and then life could end right now. Yeah. As we know, society could be done. And I'm like, no, I'm going to fight to do what I love to do. And I'm going to scrape by. And, Justin was a plumber for an extended period of time while he was working for us to get up to speed and get full-time with us. So, I wouldn't say COVID was a quote-unquote blessing, but there were a lot of blessings that came out of it that resulted in us having the structure and success that we've had thus far.
Mm-hmm. So you touched on it a little bit with the structure, but go into how you as a businessman and even an owner of some sorts to this point have structured that to not only help you, but help thrive your business from the bottom up.
Yeah, it's a unique structure for I think any business, but especially ours. And if, my dad is a business owner, and he started a company later on in his life, and so he was able to give me a lot of insight on how to do this. So basically, we're an employee-owned company. So every single employee, we have our ownership shares between Dan and I, but employees here can basically promote up to ownership eventually. And so we have open shares of ownership basically available for our employees because we want them to see the structure that we have and then work towards, theoretically, if someone's going to stay here for multiple years and prove their value, we want them to be a part of this basically forever, So that's kind of the tip of the iceberg, I guess. And then it works down to directors. So we have directors of strength, wellness, which Nick will be when he gets here June 1, pitching and hitting, Chase and Justin, and then business as well. So we have this director ownership, and then those guys are in charge of the departments basically, So Dan is theoretically an owner and the director of strength. Yep. Hopefully eventually we get to a point from a size point of view where Dan can't be the director of strength anymore because he has to be in the business, So those are things we're working towards. And then next is the coordinators, which basically are the boots on the ground guys that are doing a lot of the driving of each department. And then performance coaches, which are again like specific areas of our setup in here that they're in charge of. And then interns, which kind of has a wide variance here, but basically usually younger college-aged athletes that want resume builders, that want to learn the industry, that want to train here too. We do some training trades here with some of our interns. So that's kind of the structure. Like we said, we moved in here with one full-time employee. On the books this summer, there's 30. Awesome. And that's happened in a year and a half.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think the reason that, and I pushed pretty hard for this route, you weren't against going this direction. It's the norm within this industry, and it's because the bar of entry is so low. It's not as low, and the reason from a business standpoint, we moved away from the travel ball world where any person could start a travel ball team. True. For the most part, anybody can start training, and we're seeing this. You have people who do remote training from their garage. Yeah. You have people who do remote training from their backyards. You have people who have never trained somebody in their entire life, but they offer ebooks that you can buy and get the six-pack in 6 weeks, right? Yeah. And so the bar of entry, for the most part in the gym and fitness industry, is really low, and the perception as an employee or as a coach is, and the typical setup is, okay, I'm here for this number, this many clients. They charge them $60 to $100 per session. I take a % cut of that. The gym or the facility takes the other cut. We go our separate ways. I do what I want. I can run whatever training however I want to within this building. And it is set up so that basically that coach, that trainer, works their way up, builds enough clientele, and then leaves. Yeah. And they go start their own space. Well, the problem with that is, and I think COVID made this even more extreme, is it leads to inconsistency for the athlete. Sure. If a core principle of our business is to always do what's best for the athlete, we know structure and consistency always works best with our youth athletes. And so by having the same coaches and the same approach and the same training and delivering this, somewhat the same thing over and over again, and having multiple entities to connect with athletes on a lot of different levels. A really simple example is having female coaches and male coaches. We have female athletes and male athletes. They're all going to connect differently. That was why I pushed really strongly, and Erik was like, "Oh yeah, this makes sense. Let's go this route," because it is ultimately doing what's best for the athlete. And then now, as we grow, moving towards doing what's best for the coach. And I think that's where we're in this phase now, from a growth standpoint.
Well, we also know that our coaching staff we have right now is incredible. So, the core of our business model, which is being built, but it hasn't been built for many years, has just been do what's best for the athletes. So if we have a great coaching staff in place, our philosophy has been to kind of retain them, and that model Dan's talking about in the fitness industry of building up clienteles, the gym takes a cut, like that's the normal in the baseball industry too. Like give lessons, the facility takes their cut of each lesson, the coach can build his clientele, the owner loves it, right? Because they get their cuts, and the more the coach grows, the more they get, and then once that guy leaves, they just hire the next low-level guy, to kind of come in and do the same thing, and it's just like this. But the problem is you can't grow as a business like that, and you can't build a lasting business like that. True. So we wanted to set this up like a real company, And the other thing is too, and I comment on in the blog, like we are in Silicon Valley. Yeah. Like we have high educated people in this building, that have advanced degrees and advanced certifications. We know that Apple and Google give them six figures without even blinking, entry level positions. And we're never going to be able to compete with that, obviously, but we do want people in this area to feel like, hey, like if you do want to have like a passion job, where you get to impact lives, we're going to be as competitive as possible.
Absolutely. And to add to your point about the coaching structure, I know you mentioned it to the parents that it's not one-on-one. They get to interact with 6, 7, 8 different coaches in one, and then with the staff being so good that they get different voices, but they're getting the same message. And it may be the way someone says something, even though it's the same message, they may say it differently, and that may click with the athlete more, and that kind of helps with the structure.
Absolutely. And I was just about to testify to that you talk about how you have all these different positions all the way down to interns to owners, but you make sure that even the bottom level entry people in this facility are still giving the same message and understand about the same facility that the owners do. So you give them that communication. Now that you let them fail on their own, obviously you're not going to hold their hand through the process. You give them things to read, to study up on, and that's on them if they do or do not. But you guys do a great job of making sure that facility is all under one compass and they're all going the same direction.
And I think the structure that is set up where the directors say, okay, here's what we care about, whether it's metrics, structure, exercise, training, whatever it may be. Okay, here's how we're going to implement it, and then here are the metrics that we're going to track, and that's going to hold everybody accountable from the top bottom. And so being able to be able to look at one report and have a pulse of our youth program, boom, we can do that. Have a pulse of our softball program, we can do that. Mm-hmm. Look at our baseball, our pitchers, our hitters, boom, we can do that. Yeah. And we're doubling down on that, hiring Nick. We want to have a stronger pulse on the health and wellness piece of where our athletes are, because we were doing a little sit down the other day. We are dealing with the highest number of athletes that we've ever had in the building and the most diverse population, meaning that they work with different coaches, they work with different teams, they're from different areas. Yeah. We have some kids who are very, very talented, but their high school team is really talented also, and they're on the JV team, and they barely play. We have kids who, I'm the best pitcher on my team, I also bat fourth, and I'm the best hitter on my team, and I pitch every inning, and I play every game, and we have to manage that. And so we have to have this, also respond to that diversity with a diverse crowd of coaches that can help meet the needs of all of those players.
Mm-hmm. So Andrew, I want to talk to you a little bit about just the inside part of that business. So you are the first contact for most of these parents that want to try to go to KPI. You do see that very diversity, you hear it. You can talk to these parents, you understand their struggles and all of that. How have you seen the communication between all coaches if you have a question that it can just get answered right away because everybody's under the same roof?
Yeah, so it's about having a game plan. I think a lot of the way the training goes, or just communication of how to make things a little smoother. I have talks with them into how does this work? Two-way athletes, that we brought that up this week of, how do they get both their sessions in, and how does it go smoothly for those guys? So when parents come with questions, I'm already prepared for it, and I can make them feel as comfortable with their training, whatever it may be, however they want to go about it. Just giving them the info that they're searching for.
Yeah.
And on that point, I want to give kudos to the staff from this spring, like building out our internal system so everyone knows what's going on and everyone can get educated here. And yesterday was a great example. Like, it was a Monday. For people watching, like, the demand right now for us is so high. Like, the amount of emails and phone calls coming in right now is crazy. So, it's been on Andrew to kind of do that. And yesterday it was like, I think it was like 7:30, and I was like, hey, how are you doing with the emails? And he's like, I haven't even got there yet. I'm still on the phone, And so we all rallied. I was like, all right, let's round up the troops. And we had 63 emails in our info account, So, like, we all kind of hacked away at it. But it's a testament to, like, we have these internal systems in here where everyone knows what's going on. Yeah. And we talk about in our meetings, and we kind of introduce different topics, and we're able to all jump in and help the business run efficiently when we need to. We would love to get to the point where we have a business department. We're not there yet, but Andrew's hire is, we have someone full time handling business things now. Like that's a step in that direction.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I think it speaks to the we say this to all of our new hires. Like, you're going to probably start off as a generalist. You're going to learn everything. Mm-hmm. And then you master the systems, and then you earn your right to then specialize into the area that you want to. Yeah. Whereas I think it goes a little bit against the grain as far as hiring, where, like, a lot of times, especially in Silicon Valley, I need this person to do this role right now, and he could even be contracting, right? I need this website built, boom, got a web developer, build it, boom, paid, gone. Yeah. Where it's like, no, you're going to learn everything in here. He's been in basically every program, sure, or has sat in on every program. So if somebody calls and asks a question about softball, he can speak to the softball environment. If somebody calls about foundations, he can speak to the foundations environment. He's been on the floor taking a team through their team workout. He can speak to the teams. Yeah. Everybody in this building, Justin did hitting when he first started. Right? Yeah, he got some time on the strength floor. Like, it's somewhat uncomfortable, but forcing our coaches to be in every facet. So if somebody does walk in, we've had this happen. Any coach can take them through the tour. Oh, you're a pitcher? Okay, I can speak to that program. Oh, you're a softball player? I can speak to that program. Oh, you're looking for strength and conditioning? You have a little bit of an arm issue, like we want to take care. Oh yeah, I can speak to that too. Bam. Yeah. If we can't get you to the person we know is the expert in the building, we all can serve the needs of that athlete. Where I speak to this a lot. Where the reason we have so many coaches is we want to make sure that we are not the bottleneck in that player's development. Yeah. We should not be the limiting factor to helping that athlete get better. Whereas the average model in this industry is one person, one coach, one entity, who is deriving your development. Where we're here supporting you. We're giving you all the resources and tools. We're getting as many experts as we can into the building. We're making sure we all speak the same language that we ultimately can give you the best chance for success.
Yeah.
I think to speak on my position personally, me and Eric had this talk when doing a hiring process. Like, I've been around baseball, softball, the coaching thing. I've done that forever, and I got the business background, and then also, I've got the digital arts background, so I can help with the social media a little bit. So, not diving into new things, my experience before kind of feeds into what was needed, and it was a good mold to walk into this situation, and it's kind of worked out in a good way.
For sure. So now we've touched on it the whole podcast, but by this point, probably people are asking, why do that structure? Why, with a business that sometimes, like you said, has worked on the other side of things, just making sure that they're specialized in that particular, and then we're good, and then they can leave. Why did you choose this one?
It really nods towards everything we're doing here. Like, we don't want to be like anyone else. Yep. We don't want our skill offerings, our strength offerings to be able to be replicated by anyone else. We're trying to create our own niche in this, world of what would be theoretically youth athlete development. So it was like, hey, like, we can either do what everyone else does, build a facility that gives lessons, rents out tunnels to teams, has birthday parties, And there's plenty of those facilities in this area. There really are. Or we can do something truly special and unique and different. And that was the direction we went. We're going to do something like no one else has ever done in Northern California. Yeah. And that trickled down to the business. Like, we don't want coaches to turn over. We don't want our pockets to get lined as the lower level staff turns and turns and turns. It, like I said, the model works. It's not what we're interested in. We want to build something truly great, and we have a foundational belief here that to build a truly great business, we have to have a truly great staff that's here all the time. So, we're actively trying to promote employees within. We're actively trying to stabilize our directors and pay them as much as possible, give them 401ks, give them benefits. Our medical benefits is the best you can get. Our 401k has a really high match on it, and it's very expensive to do these things in California.
Absolutely.
Very expensive.
Yes.
But it's what we feel is right, and it's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
Here's your cliche quote for the podcast.
There we go.
Majority of the businesses in our industry are transactional. You put your quarter in the slot, you get your 15 pitches,
Yeah.
then you move on.
Yeah.
You get your 30 minutes with your coach, putting balls on the tee, a little couple of flips, sack you on the butt, send you on your way.
It's your one cool saying that
Yeah.
sounds good.
Yeah, so we do not want to be transactional. We want to be transformational, and that's what we have. We have athletes in here who transform from 10-year-olds who don't even know how to tie their shoes to potential professional athletes. And I think that's a core part of why our staff continues to be here, because they want to be a part of that transformation. They want to see that athlete who has every reason to not try. They have every coach telling them they suck.
Yeah.
They have the game of baseball or softball telling them they suck, because both games are tough. We want to be the consistent positive force in their lives, saying like, hey, I know this is hard, I know you're tired, I know you don't want to do this right now, but here's the plan.
Yeah.
Here's how we hold ourselves all accountable to this plan. Let's get after it.
Yeah.
Well, what we're doing is different. It's speaking through the numbers. We're about to sell out, and summer hasn't even started yet.
Yeah.
So something's speaking to all these athletes to want to come in here, and maybe the systems that's running. We are different, and that's one of the things that I hear in phone calls is, I heard you guys do this, this, and this. It's a lot of it's word of mouth. The first phone calls I get with parents, I heard through so and so, your program's great.
Yeah.
So something we're doing is really clicking with the athletes.
Absolutely.
I think, sorry,
No, you're
keep
good.
going.
Go ahead.
I think that the last piece to this that is kind of what we've been waiting for
Yeah.
is kids are dominating on the field.
Yep.
Like that's the last piece. Because yes, word of mouth, like, oh, you're looking for somewhere to train, like, oh yeah, I'll go to KPI. We get that all the time. But I think we're going to start hearing like, I saw so-and-so, they used to be this,
Yeah.
now they're this, I want to be like that.
Well, and another cool thing is a lot of that, and it's come from my era mostly, but a lot of that perception of success used to be on the coach. You guys give that success and that perception 100% to the athlete. You guys don't take any of it, which is fantastic. A lot of facilities, like you talk about, they see that and they're like, oh, he only did that because he was here. You guys don't say that. If you come, you tell them right as soon as they get here. If we don't guarantee success, but if you work hard, you're probably going to be good, for sure. And so,
Different podcast, but like it's the possessive nature and ego nature of coaching, in sports in general. But people want to possess success instead of give it to who it belongs to, which is the athlete, and failure as well.
True.
They own that too, So again, that's a whole nother.
I like to joke with the kids where it's like they get that scholarship or like, oh, you're welcome. That was me.
Yeah.
I did that for you. And they know I'm being super sarcastic, but
Yes.
I think subconsciously that is the perception in our industries.
Yeah.
Well, I got to go to that ex-pro because they made it to the major leagues. So like if I'm around them, then somehow I'm going to make it to the major leagues. Or,
Yeah.
oh, that coach has 20 Division I commits. Okay, well I got to go to that coach because that's where all the Division I commits go. When in reality, all of those kids got better because they chose to get better.
Yes.
And then the dark side of it, the flip side of it too. Like if you want to take ownership over the good stuff, you got to take ownership over the bad stuff.
Gotta hold yourself accountable.
Look at the Giants staff. They said they're inexperienced.
Yep.
That was their big thing. You hired an inexperienced staff. They're doing it.
They are making it happen.
Yeah.
Okay, so last question, if we can go on a tangent forever on that stuff we talked about, but the future. So you have this great business structure. Obviously, a lot of people it is succeeding. Excuse me, words are hard. But what do you want to do with that? Obviously you want to build it, but how?
I think could just continuing and to stay true to our vision and our philosophies in here, and we do that all the time. So we've created this system now, and we want to kind of just keep doubling down on it. Yeah. We want to keep hiring people. We want to keep attracting people like Nick. Nick applied for our job in Illinois.
Yeah.
That's a huge signal to me. Hey, we're spreading our wings big time, and that athletic trainer in Illinois applied for the job in Morgan, California, and got it, so just continuing to drive everyone, and I say this all the time, Dan and I are not businessmen. You know, like I have a kinesiology master's, he has an exercise science master's. There's zero formal training here, you know, but it's a great thing, because now what we have is like this organic background of baseball and exercise science and kines and all these things. I'm feverishly studying business every day, and I know Dan does as well. And now we're creating this hybrid system that is really, you know, working really well. So the future holds us just continuing to do that, continue to promote people. You know, we want a huge staff. We want to make this run, you know, 12, 13 hours a day all year, not just in the summer. So it's just, you know, just like everything else in here, the future's really bright, and we're just going to kind of grind our way and keep getting into it.
Oh yeah.
I think we're going to double down on doing a better job of preparing, educating, training our coaches at every level. I think the other is living up to these verbal promises. It's very easy to talk a big game on a podcast versus, you know, still our actions aligning with what we're saying. And I think for the most part, like, we do a very good job of that. We have our shortcomings, just like you said. We are not trained in this. If you want me to design a 12-month program to get you from this size to this size, I'll write your strength program. But if you want me to write a business plan for the next 10 years, I don't even know where to start. So I think, you know, living up to that and continuing to do that is going to be our two main principles that we're going to really have to focus on for the next, you know, 3 to 5 years.
And on that point, like, I think we've been smart enough to outsource things we're not good at.
Yes.
You know, like we have an HR department that isn't here. It's somewhere else, but they are our HR department, you know. We just hired a financial guy that's cleaning up all that stuff, and he's going to do projections and everything that we have zero training in, you know. And so you know, we have marketing people here. We have a marketing team, but we also have a marketing company that does a lot of the search engine stuff and stuff like that you know, we just don't have the expertise for. So Dan and I were on a consult with I guess a bigwig in this industry, and he said outsource things you're not good at, you know. And that's been, I think, a really good thing for us, is that we have some of these things that would be really, really hard even for us to learn if we studied it. We've outsourced it, and it's working really well.
Yeah, and that's sorry, I keep cutting both of you guys off.
Oh, you're good.
I think that first step in that direction is, or as we've outsourced, it's okay, what can we bring in-house? And you're the first example of that. Like, okay, we need somebody to take care of this large chunk of a very important component of our business, which is lead conversion. And then slowly taking over a lot of the tasks that come with running this business. And so we have learned, and it's been learned in a very hard way, where like we need like if we're gonna have something in-house, it needs to be a singular person who's in charge of it. Yeah. We're kind of learning this with our tech. Like, we are starting to say, you are in charge of this piece of tech, you're in charge of this piece of tech, giving that one person and empowering them to say, hey, master this system, teach all of us how to use it, and then let's get it to the front lines, let's get it to the athletes so that they can use it and benefit. And that's, you know, probably, I guess, the third piece that we'll really be getting after this upcoming year.
And yeah, I love how this has gone down, because I think we went through a phase in the business world, and you hear kind of business people talk about it now, where everyone had to get an MBA. And a lot of business guys now say MBAs are crap, you know. So like, the system we've created has been the system that's worked best for us, and it's been trial and error, and it certainly hasn't been a perfect process. But like, what we're doing here from a business point of view is a hybrid of the skill strength side mixed with the business side, and now we've got like this thing, and I don't think you would learn that in business school, what we've created here from a business point of view.
All right. Got anything else? All right. Thank you very much for listening. If you would like to read more in depth into the podcast, please go to kpimh.com. Visit our blog tabs. Please visit all our social medias. Go like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you guys very much for watching. See you guys next time.
Vega wins.